started this evening. Ms. Rowland, can you let us know if public officials are in attendance this evening?
Mayor Kathy Catanzaro-Perry. Good evening. Safety Service Director Barb Sylvester.
Present.
Assistant Law Director Edmund Mack.
Present.
City Engineer Alex Pitts.
Present.
Parks and Rec Director Steve Pedro.
Present.
Police Chief Jason St. Noy.
Present.
Fire Chief Matthew Heck.
Present.
Income Tax Budget Director Lori Katagides-Boron.
Present.
Is there anyone from the administration I missed? That's it, President Pro Tem.
Thank you. Let the record show all 9 members of council are in attendance as well as the president of council. Community development.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. I have 2 items that fall under old business. The first is regarding the Safety Service Director of the City of Massillon hired to advertise, obtain bids, and enter into a contract for the construction of a splash park at Winkler Park. We tabled this ordinance until October 16th. It's been communicated that there is a work session, Park and Recreation Board work session on Thursday at 3 p.m. So they can have a clear understanding of what this entails, and we can get feedback at that time. Are there any questions regarding this? All right. The second item is the designated outdoor refreshment area for the City of Massillon under ORC 4301.82. This is the DORA. We talked about multiple items that fall under this. We had a public hearing last Monday at 6 p.m. and we tabled this until November 6th. Are there any outstanding questions or concerns regarding this ordinance this evening? All right, seeing none, that's all. Yes, Ms. Robinson.
So what are the final hours that you're going to ensure this
I have all of that documented. So we have the final hours for the DORA Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Along with that, we're going to the plan is going to have some type of verbiage regarding prohibiting participants to enter Veterans Park. And yeah. Any additional questions? I know we've talked about this multiple times, so I'm not going to move any of it unless anyone has questions. All right. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. That's all I have for community development.
Economic development.
Nothing this evening.
Health welfare.
Nothing this evening.
Parks and Rec.
I have one item this evening. It's authorizing the Director of Park and Rec to accept a $500 donation for the Lawndale Park improvement. This is in memory of Jacob Brown. This group has already raised $20,000 to improve the park. And so this is just another donation that will be approving. Anyone have any questions? Okay, that's all I have for Parks and Rec.
Police and fire.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. I have 2 new items. The first, to accept an Ohio Ambulance Transport Program grant in the amount of $20,480.75. The funds are being provided to ambulance providers to distribute premium pay to eligible employees that performed essential work during the COVID-19 pandemic. The state of Ohio has distributed the funds, and the funds were deposited into the 1100.325.4.1420 state grant revenue account. The other one is similar to this, to accept the Ohio EMA ARPA First Responder Retention Incentive Grant for both fire and police departments in the amounts of $216,000 for the fire department and $120,000 for the police department, requesting approval for the Director of Public Service and Safety to sign the grant agreements for each department. Could we have Chief Heck and Chief St. Noy come up and answer any questions anybody may have? Thank you for coming in. I wanted to, just wanted you to briefly explain, and then Chief Sinkway, if you could just briefly explain exactly what your plans are for the money as it, how you're planning on distributing it.
Sure. We'll start with the ambulance transportation program grant first. That one is fire department only because it's based on Medicaid providers in the state of Ohio who have submitted claims this year. So we'll take the 20,000 divided by the number of eligible employees, which is 56, and distribute that out as a premium pay. We have to use it as a premium pay. We can't reimburse anything that we given before or use it for any other payments or anything of that nature. It's all premium pay on top of what they've already received. So that's the ambulance transportation program grant. The other one is the ARPA First Responder Retention Grant. That is one that the state is using or earmarked funds from the federal ARPA funds that they receive and are going back into different programs to distribute them out. One of those was the Retention Resilient Grant, which we applied for through police and fire. And again, that one is $4,000 per employee, per eligible employee, which is 54 members of the fire department and 30 members of the police department. So that's what we distributed as, and that is a retention bonus, and again, on top of anything based on the grant language that's out there.
Thank you. Are there any questions from anybody on the committee? Any questions from any council members? Mr. Creamer.
Yes, thanks, Chief. So those 56 employees from the ambulance program, did those 56 employees work during the COVID?
Yes.
Were they, okay.
Yes,
So
so
there
part
are
of
any new employees that are going to be getting, part of these funds if they did not work during the COVID?
Correct. Everyone in the fire department worked within the time period that is stipulated in the grant. And that was January 27th, 2020 through April 10th of 2023. The other grant, they have to be hired on or before June 17th of 2022. That's where we lose a couple people eligibility-wise in the fire department. And like Chief St. Noy is down to 30 members with his department.
All right, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay, I am planning on moving this forward next meeting and motion to suspend the rules and get this passed right away. Thank you both, Chief St. Noy, Chief Heck. I appreciate you coming in, and I will
Do you need a time frame or anything? Because the agreements we need to return to the state in 30 days.
Right,
Which is
that's why.
November 30.
Yeah, Monday. That's why I plan on advancing this on Monday.
Okay,
And
thank
get
you.
through as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all I have, Mr. Lewis.
Public utilities.
Thank you. Tonight I have one new piece of legislation under environmental. It is to rescind the existing 925.27 and enacting a new one dealing with grease traps for commercial businesses. I've spoken with Alex about this. Obviously, if you get grease into the waste network, it can cause issues, backups. It's his opinion that these additional regulations would help limit the frequency of those occurring. And with regard to, I asked him about how this would impact current businesses, and he pointed me to the section that states that they're currently grandfathered in unless certain conditions are met, including change of ownership or occupancy, remodeling, things of that nature. That's under C3B1 through 4. If anyone has any additional questions, I could have him come up. If not, I plan on signing this tonight. No questions? All right, thank you. Oh,
Yeah, I have some questions.
okay. Alex, do you mind coming up just first? Thank you.
Council. I sent around Appendix A through C. I apologize, that's my mistake. I did not have that attached to the legislation at the very end. Basically, it's the first one, Appendix A, is standard construction drawing. Appendix B is a maintenance schedule logs, and Appendix C is a manifest requirement form. All of those appendices are labeled out and discussed in depth within the ordinance, within the legislation, so I just wanted to pass that out as well. So.
Thank you. Questions? Ms. Kramer?
Yes, with the existing facilities, I know one of the items, it says major changes in their menu. So how is this going to be communicated out to the businesses, you know, with these specifics, you know, so they know if they're going to be doing this, make changes to their menus, that they're going to have to make changes with the grease control.
Yeah, so within the ordinance, we do have public notification involved as well. Exactly where that is, I'll have to get back to you on that, but
So it's going to be up to the businesses to notify you that we're making changes to our menu, so I guess I'm going to have to make some changes with my grease control, or is this going to be something that the health department is going to be watching out for and follow up with these existing businesses?
I apologize, I misunderstood the question. I thought it was involving us notifying the businesses, but as far as the businesses notifying us, again, I'll have to get back to you on that one. Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on
Yeah,
at a later date. That is a good point.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Harvey-Smith?
So, thank you, Councilman Wyland. So my question is exactly what is an estimated cost to someone to put this in? I mean, obviously they have to hire someone, dig a hole, connect into the sewer system beforehand, right? It's going to be like a trap and then it will connect into wastewater after that. I mean, that seems like it could be a huge expense on people.
Well, it's already required to have a grease trap installed. I mean, that goes through the site plan review, the plumbing code and everything. We're just putting more regulations on the sizing and the schedule of maintenance. The biggest one being the schedule of maintenance. So if left unchecked, that's when a lot of the grease will end up in the sanitary sewer system due to not being cleaned out properly. Every 60 days is what we have in the legislation. So we're trying to prevent all of the grease from getting into the sanitary sewer system with regular scheduled maintenance by having a maintenance log and a manifest document with a record retention of 5 years. That way, if we need to do like any audit or something like that, we can go in and review the maintenance log and also inspect the grease interceptor if we feel that there's issues with our sanitary sewer system and we're seeing a lot of grease build up within that.
So have we been having issues?
There are some issues with grease in some of our sanitary sewer. We are seeing issues, mainly around restaurants. So this is why we're trying to get more of a regulation in place of having regular maintenance within these grease, with these grease interceptors.
So I would like to know, like, I mean, just for the changes and that they would have to update and put in a huge tank, how much does it cost a business to do this? And how much it's actually cost us and at this time of problems. But it seems like this could be you could end up like forcing someone $10,000, $20,000, you know, to put in a huge tank in their back and connect it in, hire plumbing. I mean, that's a huge expense on businesses for a supposed problem. I mean, I have no problem if you want them to do a maintenance schedule. I'm just worried about the cost you could incur on someone.
I apologize, I didn't mean to start, but I can get you like a cost estimate of like a proposed, the minimum size is for like a 700 gallon interceptor.
Right, but you go back and you
versus-
look like an average restaurant, how much they can put through, because they wash dishes all day. I mean, so they could have to do the maximum size, so I'd like that. I don't know both, like if you would go out from plumbing to hooking in, who's gonna have to do it, and like what it costs somebody. Because if it's not like federally required, and we're not having any huge problems, I don't know if I want to force them to have to get tanks, or, you know, maybe we just need to make sure they're maintaining what they have now, unless it's costing the city hundreds of thousands of dollars because we have a grease problem. But, I mean, I like being proactive, but I think this could be a big hurt out for people. So I'd like to have some more numbers before I can go into vote on something like this.
Yep, I can get those numbers to you as soon as possible. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Hurricane?
Thank you, Mr. Buellin. Is everything that's underlined new?
Correct.
All right, so the existing section of 925.27 is literally A and B, and then there's, I don't know, 8 new pages of underlined things that we need to digest? Okay. Is this picture new, or was this already in the ordinance?
That is new.
Okay. Is a grease trap the same thing as an interceptor?
Essentially, yes.
Okay. And how bad would you say the existing problem is that warrants these changes?
So I spoke with one of our collection supervisors today regarding that issue because I was questioning that myself, and he said that on a regular monthly basis that he needs to go out and clean and make sure that there's not too large of grease built up within our sanitary sewer systems.
I would be interested in the cost. The question that Councilwoman Harlan Smith had is the same question I have too. I would like to see what cost is estimated for the restaurants and the businesses that this would be required, because I agree with her. I think it could be extensive too. The maintenance log, that's new, correct?
Correct.
And how is that going to be monitored or enforced?
So their appendix B is the maintenance log for a self-cleaning grease interceptor. So that one is for if the grease is mechanically removed automatically, maybe at a scheduled interval or based off of a sensor or something like that. It's appendix C that is required for both. So appendix C is where the business is required to inform us of where the waste is disposed, at what time it's being disposed at, things of that nature. So I hope that answered your question. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I guess those are all the questions I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
First, I'm going to come alongside with Councilwoman Creamer. I'm going to want to know a better definition of what major menu changes would include, because that seems to me, you know, if you go from primarily a chicken business to a burger business, or is that I just added 2 extra burgers to my menu, or whatever it is. The other thing is, I noticed on this tracking form, it shows, and you kind of referenced it, that a cleaning company could do this on behalf of the company or the person. Do we have a lot of cleaning companies in the area that clean out grease traps?
I would have to look into that for you. Yeah, I mean, the onus is on the property owner to have their grease interceptors maintained. So again, I'll have to look into that for you, but technically this should already be in place. The Ohio EPA requires a maintenance of 30 to 90 days. We're finding that we believe that some restaurants are not hitting that 30 to 90 day mark. So we're just trying to put it in place within our codified ordinance of having 60 days of regular maintenance.
Mr. Kramer?
Just, I'm going back to Appendix B. Along with, I have two concerns with the impact of the costs. But with this maintenance log, this is something new for the businesses.
Correct.
Okay, so we're going to notify them if the revisions are approved by council, we will notify the businesses of the changes and the requirements. We're going to educate them on this maintenance log, tell them the frequency of this maintenance log, right?
Correct.
There's going to be a learning curve because this is like a new implementation that they may have not done before. So are we going to follow up like maybe in 30 or 60 days with like an inspection to ensure that everybody's on board, they understand the needs of this form, and maybe follow up, I don't know, in a year's time to ensure they understand the frequency, because I don't really, reading the maintenance log section, it doesn't really tell me how often this log needs to be filled out, and is it every 60 days?
It is every 60 days,
Okay.
correct.
And maybe I don't see that in that section. But knowing about logs,
So it's underneath cleaning schedules, Part B.
okay. Let me see. Minimum every 60 days. Okay, I was looking for it. I missed that. I was looking at the maintenance. Okay, just so they're aware that it is straightforward. All right, thank you so much. And there'll be follow-up.
Yes, correct.
Mr. Lombardi?
Thank you, Mr. Veal. To answer Mr. Lewis's question, there are contractors in Stark County, several of them that do this on a regular basis for many restaurants. However, I also want to comment on what Councilwoman Hardwick Smith said. I'm in total agreement that I have a problem with making every restaurant replace their interceptor. If there's nothing wrong with the current one that they have, and we can get them to follow maintenance, by all means, I think, they should be grandfathered in if they're already in good standing. Should something happen that they'd have to replace it, then we can, I would be for saying, any new systems being installed would have to follow these specs, or any systems that, are damaged beyond repair would have to follow these specs. But I do have a problem with making it a retroactive fit for every restaurant, because this could be a costly venture. There could be excavation and everything, depending on how their plumbing's set up.
Yeah, and I would just like to just say really quick that regarding existing facilities, they are grandfathered in. It's only during those specific situations where, for example, they have a huge remodeling, or there was a restaurant that moved out and then it was a change of ownership, and then they changed it to a new restaurant, a different restaurant under a different name, then that's when they would have to as well. It's basically the existing restaurants are grandfathered in, that they don't have to change their interceptor right this time, so.
Ms. Hardwick Smith?
Would you say that you guys are, I'm sorry, thank you, Councilman Darrell. When you say you're assuming they're coming from restaurants, so right now, do you know of any actual restaurants that are not cleaning it out, or cleaning it out? Or is there any type of inspection or anything whatsoever that you have actual fact?
I don't have specific restaurants, but I do have specific sanitary sewer main lines, to where we are seeing more grease build up within the main line, and they seem to be downstream of restaurants. As far as specific restaurants, I don't have any right now. But I can get that information to you.
So would that be something like when you're seeing downstream from a certain area, that the health department could inspect those grease ones and see if they actually have them and they're cleaning out and there actually is a problem before we're doing something that's assuming? I mean, is that who would do the inspections or something like that?
So the health department, they're mainly involved with inspecting the serviceability of the restaurant itself and grease, like maybe on the walls, in the parking lot, things of that nature. As far as the actual infrastructure itself, that'll have to be between the wastewater treatment department, building department, and a few of the sewer inspectors that we have within engineering as well. Primarily the water treatment department personnel, but as far as the health department, it'll really just be a cooperative effort between all of us. We're just really trying to get everything in place to implement this program to hit the ground running.
So at the wastewater treatment plant, do they have like a giant interceptor that they have to clean out that things are caught up in? You said that they have to about once a month clean it out. I mean, that could be coming from residential households or anything, right? It's just in general. I'm just trying to understand that part of it, like what they're doing now that is something out of the ordinary that's been done forever. I mean, that's affecting our food.
So the personnel at the wastewater treatment plant, they're currently doing inspections of industrial areas, pre-treatment processes and things like that, where you basically have a miniature wastewater treatment plant on the site itself. So we have staff dedicated to that inspection, and they go around and inspect it pretty much every day. So it would just be another component of the pre-treatment process that we would have to inspect as well. Just because we really just don't want to have grease in our sanitary
So
sewer.
the ones they're inspecting, though, they're finding that there's a problem on a regular basis?
Not a treatment plant, of the treatment plants on site. This inspection was done by our collection sewer system foreman and personnel. Basically, when they go to camera the sanitary sewer line, and they can see basically the buildups and any blockages and loss of cross-sectional area of the pipe, that's when we notice the grease buildup in that situation.
Would it be an option just at those areas where that the city, like we put in our own at those sites, like collection system, that would be routinely cleaned out? You know, instead of having each individual have, I mean, they have theirs, but also, like you're saying, if there's a problem that we actually put an interceptor on a city area that where you guys are inspecting, that would catch it there.
So
Is
typically,
that an option?
well, I'm not going to say that it's not an option, but typically when we receive plans from a developer, we already look for grease traps and grease interceptors and everything. It's pretty much a standard practice of having it sent to us in the building department and a registered architect to sign off on the plumbing code and making sure that the grease interceptors are present within the plans before they're acceptable. So it's typically a private improvement for the developer, and it's just common practice, and a lot of this language was taken from what the county is currently doing as well. So.
Thank you.
Ms. Sylvester, are you able to come up, maybe clarify some of these questions for council?
Good evening, council. As I already know, Alex is new with us. We often work together, but I think I can help explain a few things for you. First of all, as Alex was saying, if there is a new build, a new construction, that is a part of that company's site plan. So when they bring in their site plan, they have to have their entire build out, which is all of their plumbing, which is wastewater and any of what we call the FOG, the fats, oils, and grease. So that has to be a part of the permit that they get for the plumbing piece of it. And as you know, the commercial inspections, those are all done through the architect who also works for the county. So that's the new constructions that it refers to in here. So that's a process that they're already following. We just need to get our ordinance updated in accordance with where everything is through the county with that as well. As far as existing businesses right now, as Alex did explain, existing restaurants are grandfathered in at this point. At this particular time, our health department is required to do inspections annually. When they go in, they do what's called under their inspections, a service appearance. So they do at that time check whatever type of, as Councilman Hurricane referred to them, a grease trap, interceptor, whatever they have there. They do at least inspect that and make sure that there's no overflow, there's nothing, dirty on there. They make sure they're not disposing of grease into their dumpsters or something, in their parking lot. So the health department has, for years, always been a part of, looking at that. As well as right now on any inspections that our code department, building, and fire go on, our health department and one of the inspectors from wastewater goes on it as well. So if there is a concern or problem with someone, they have been addressing it on an ongoing basis. So at this point, they'll put the language in here. The other part I did want to point out is under the existing facilities, where you're reading that for the grease interceptors required, where you read on there where it says major changes in their menu, it also says with that and. So it's a major change in their menu, and when an existing facility experiences difficulties achieving compliance with maintenance and/or wastewater discharge limitations. So it's not just if they make a change to their menu. That other piece goes with it.
Yes, Ms. Harvey-Smith.
So grease intercept, I'm sorry, let me turn my microphone on. So where it says grease intercept is required, we talk about A and B. So C, it says required for any high temperature dishwasher used in food service operations shall necessitate the installation of outside grease trap meeting the size requirement specified herein. Well, that could include almost everybody who has a dishwasher.
It says earlier.
It also states earlier here that this is only for commercial. This does not affect residential.
I'm referring to commercial.
It's part of it listed here.
I'm referring to commercial, which would be any restaurant.
Used in the food service operations. High temperature dishwashers used in food service operations.
Which would be anybody who makes food or serves food.
Correct.
Correct.
The people that are health department
Dishwasher,
for their
then they are required.
Correct.
Correct. So that would kind of encompass most existing facilities, wouldn't it?
Well, but they have A and B that separates it out, the new facilities and existing facilities, and that's what you were asking about, is the existing.
Right, but it goes A, B, C, then C kind of like loops them back in.
Well, it says when the existing grease trap does not comply.
No, it just says grease interceptors required, item C, and it's talks about high temperature dishwashers. So
Right.
C would have nothing to do with A and B.
Well, I would assume anybody in A and B would have a dishwasher. I would assume anybody in A and B would have, they're in the food service business. Food processing, food service facilities,
So that would include everybody then.
everybody in food would have those. But then it does break out if you already are existing. The only time that you have to make a major change is if you do when you have 1 through 4. I mean, most all of us, we're not adding anything new for anybody. Most everybody has a grease trap of some type in the city.
Yeah, but their grease trap might be working fine, but it might not meet the size requirements. So then if they have a dishwasher, they would have to get a new one based on the size requirements you're in.
Only if one of the conditions happen under B. That's what it says for existing.
I don't know if I like the wording of that because I feel like that.
Well, as I said, they took it directly from Stark County's. This is directly from Stark County's wording.
Mr. Lewis?
Just, in summary, what we have here is an attempt to make our sewer lines, free of fog. New builds are going to have to comply with this new regulation of a grease trap, intercept, or whatever we're calling it. And existing will not have to do it unless they come across one of those 4 statements that are saying it. Now, I disagree with how it's worded. I think that "and" it's not saying that the major menu and something else. I think if you look at it grammatically, that "and" is just a part of a longer sentence, but we can get to that later. As far as C goes, Julie, I see we were confused there, but I don't think C overrides B. I think it's confusing as heck though, so we might want to just strike it. But other than that, I think what the spirit of it is, with some cleanup based off of what we've seen tonight, is that we just want to clean up the lines, make them a little bit more beneficial to our community, stop backups from happening. You know, sometimes it can cause sewer backups at one of the residential homes and other problems that we have. So I think we give it first reading on Monday. Let the administration look at it, see if there's anything that they can clean up, help explain some things. And then we can try to see if we can move forward with it on a second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Any other questions? All right, so Alex, if you could just find a cost estimate of what something like that would be to install, appreciate it.
Here's a seat necessary. To help out with Julie, a seat necessary.
Oh, and also, yeah, if section C can maybe be reworded to clarify. I have no other business this evening.
Rolling reports,
I have nothing this evening.
streets and highways. Nothing new for streets and highways. All right, finance. We have please prepare an ordinance to appropriate additional funds from the appropriate balance of street construction M&R fund to the following account. Street repairs, it's released additional funds in order to award and enter a contract for the Lake Avenue Northeast and Amherst Road intersection improvement project in accordance with ordinance number 79 and 80. Does anyone have any questions? When this intersection is going to be closed again? Further repair. When do you think this, I'm sorry, City Service Director, please come on.
Okay, as you all are familiar with the bidding process, so we did go out to bid. The bids came back, and I did attach, the actual 2 bids that we received from the Shelby Company of Wenger Excavating. We were within the threshold of the 10%. Anything over 10%, we would have to deny the bids. But both were within the 10%. We, of course, want to award the lower bid, but we're short the $22,000. So from the time of the opening of the bid on September 20th, we have 60 days then to award it. And in the contract, the bid requirements stated that the project needs to be completed by May 3rd of 2024. So, other permits, they may begin it this year, but they do have until May the 3rd of 24th for completion.
I only bring that up because between Wales Road project, Hillsdale being closed, Wales being closed, and then you try to do the end around, only to come to Lake and Amherst being closed. You literally, zigzag all through town just to try to get through it. So I was just curious.
But even all of the raw materials that we're gonna need and everything's probably gonna take a while to get in, because everything seems to be taking
So we're
a
safe,
bit longer.
we're safe for the
Yes.
moment.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions regarding, other than my question? Thank you. Please prepare legislation to appropriate $80,940 from the Legends carryover to the following Legends accounts: $46,000 for salary, $9,000 in bank charges, $5,000 in supply line, $6,440 to PRS, $9,500 to sales tax, $5,000 utilities, and that's covered through the end of the year. This was approved September 23rd by the Park and Rec Board. And then please prepare legislation to appropriate $34,500 from the carryover, $31,000 capital improvements, $2,000 service line, and $1,500 food and beverage. Mr. Pedro?
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Hello, everyone. As it states in the first one, to get us to the end of the year, we've obviously had a lot more business this year, with courses closing around us. So, that's where all this money's going, with the more people working, the bank charges, out the supply line, and then, of course, PRS and sales tax, utilities have gone up a little bit this year. And again, that first one's to cover that. The second one, we just had an HVAC unit go out last week. It's barely running, it needs replaced. We had 2 quotes for that, and $31,000 of that to capital improvements is going to replace that. You can see the rest of it this will be able to hear.
Anybody else have questions? Mr. Hurricane?
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Although these are in the same legislation request, shall I assume they will be separate ordinances?
I was not intending to do so. I don't see any necessity for that.
Okay. Thank you.
They can be divided into separate sections.
Yeah, I don't care how it's written.
Since they were approved at 2 different meetings.
After looking at this again, I guess they are similar enough in nature that they can probably be on the same one.
Yeah, it's all coming from the same Legends carryover account on the multiple accounts, right? Thank you. All right, please appropriate $20,480.75 to the general fund state grant account, salary fire. These funds were received from the state of Ohio through the Ohio Ambulance Program. Going in line with what we discussed earlier this evening. Does anybody have any questions? All right. Couple of transfers, and I have some old business as well. So transfers of Legends, reducing capital improvement by 1863, placing it in the Medicare Legend workers' comp Legends. And foreclosure property administration, reducing county fee collection by 3,000, placing that into servicing contracts to realign the budget. As far as old business, Ms. Kadeki, Lauren, you want to come up? I know you've been waiting a long time to talk about this exciting city tax software.
Good evening, Council. Yes, my request for legislation has to do with implementing a new system for the income tax department. So I just want to go over a few things that I believe would make an impact, not only to the efficiency of the department, but also for our taxpayers. First and foremost, the money was approved in the 2023 budget, so we're good to go with that. It was in 1401. I have passed it through the law department. If you notice, the exhibit does have Mr. Richards' signature on it. This program can be customized to however we want it. So the program that we have now is pretty cookie cutter. The program that we're looking for is more state of the art. We can customize it to do many different things. One of the nicest things about this program is it's called the Watcher, so you can set it up to automatically alert you. So say we have a taxpayer send in their income tax and they're missing their W-2. So we send them a letter, and then after that it's pretty much manual. With the Watcher, you can actually go in and prompt it to come back to you in 30 days and let you know, oh, we haven't received that yet, we need to touch base with that taxpayer again. So there's different things within the Watcher that is much more user-friendly, not only for the staff, but also for our constituents, because they're, you get busy, so sometimes, you may forget about that letter you got about your W-2, so it'll make that contact with them much easier. The speed is phenomenal compared to what we have now. I've actually taken most of my staff and myself can't miss this. So we've been able to actually see it. The speed is much quicker, so there's a better processing time. And in today's world, we have put in the online e-file, which has really been beneficial. But the system that we have now only lets you do 1 year. So say in 24 you go in, maybe something's happened, you couldn't file your 22, it's 24, you want to file 23, you could never go back and file multiple years. The new system will also let you file multiple years, which is a great convenience to people. And I'll give you an example too of the progress of the system. A few years, the system that we had was great at the time, but like I said, it's a little bit older. So back during COVID, we were able, with COVID dollars, to purchase a couple new laptops for a couple of the tax auditors, just in case you never knew if we would have to do some things from home, what we would have to do. They were more advanced, and the more advanced our technology gets with our laptops and our desktops, the less compatible it is with the system that we have. So actually those two computer systems, those two laptops run slower than the old ones that we have because they're advancing what they can do. So to me, I'm really excited to look at this. I think it's not only an advantage to the city and the employees in income tax, but I also think it's a great advantage, the processing time, the ability to be able to, process multiple years is a great advantage for our taxpayers as well. Oh, and one more thing. It is compatible with the state, which is something I'd like to implement going in the future too. There is, through the Attorney General's office, they will help you do your collections. So there is a system, and they have their own processes that you can go through the state of Ohio for your collections. This system is also compatible with that. So that is my sales pitch for this system. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Do we still file quarterly, or do we still, I believe we file quarterly as well as annually, right?
You can do your net profit and your withholding quarterly, and then you can also, yes, you can pay your declaration on a quarterly basis too. This will also handle that as well.
That's what I was wondering.
Yes.
Is there still a fee associated if you don't file quarterly?
As long as your payments are in, say for this year, as long as everything is paid in full by January 15th of 2024, that you will not be paid. that did change in the past few years. For a lot of people, they do file quarterly because it is easier for them. Because it's still, that January date is still before you file your income tax, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it just seems like the software is more in line with state, federal, so I'd be for it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We also have the legislation still on about the appropriation for the police department. I do believe it is related to the drone that they have presented on. Are there any questions or discussion this evening? Okay. And then the only other piece I have is I wanted to give the mayor an opportunity. We had the Park and Rec Board appointment. I didn't know if there was any discussion that may be necessary tonight, or if we were just going to move forward next week. No? Okay, so we still have that out there. I know we probably still have some questions. I guess we can ask them tonight, or we can just ask them next week. Ms. Smith.
I do have a question on that. I think she might have to get another candidate, because I did find out, I did find out that Ms. Herrera is receiving a stipend that goes through the end of the year. So based on the rules, she's not going to be a candidate. I think they are going to have to find someone else for a candidate, our recreation board, because she doesn't qualify.
Okay. I would be, that's kind of where I was thinking that brought that comment up. I was kind of thinking that that might be the case that we are dealing with. I guess at this point, unless someone wants to object to it, we'll just leave it in the administrator's hands to